Jesster Radio, another episode. A guest that I actually spelt his name wrong for maybe the first 2 or 3, I actually say years.
Yeah, pretty much.
I apologize about that, bro. So, Kieran, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, you are obviously in the fitness industry. You are actually one of my athletes, and you've recently actually started your own, personal training business and online venture.
Yeah, I have. Not even a week ago, actually, I decided to launch the actual website. Well, not the website, but the company. The website's coming.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all online, so obviously a website, you're going to need that. And it's something, we don't want to actually be in a gym. You don't want to be paying someone else rent. You don't want to be, spending your time, hard-earned money to pay, Virgin Active 12,000 Rand a month. Obviously you've got a passion about fitness, but what actually got you started into your training and whole venture going forward?
Well, with being
in terms of training, and also obviously your training and your dedication from training and your passion for training actually led you to obviously being a trainer as well. Yeah. But how did you first get started?
Well, actually throughout my schooling career I was always active. My main sport was actually athletics. That was what I focused on the most. So I was always training and I was always in the gym anyway, and then started playing rugby when I was 14. So I played school rugby until end of matric, and I played international rugby for 7th team as well. So I was constantly training in the gym at least 4 or 5 times a week anyway. And then after school I played rugby at varsity. Played young guns, so there we were always told to gym basically every morning. We were in the gym and stuff like that, and it's always been something that I liked. I've always enjoyed the gym part of the training most.
Just get that mic on you there.
Yeah. So I always enjoyed the actual gym part of the training the most. I enjoyed the more aesthetics type of thing as well. So, and then in 2018, it was my first year out of school. I actually decided to go watch the Arnold Classic with my mate, and that kind of flipped a switch. Actually, because I was thinking about stopping playing rugby, I wasn't enjoying it that much anymore. And then I watched the Arnold Classic Africa in 2018, and then after that it's probably a few days after that is when I actually asked you. I was like, bro, can you prep me for a contest? And then that's kind of where it started. So I've always enjoyed training and stuff like that and going to gym and everything, but then I'd say from 2018 is where I started taking it a bit more seriously with in terms of diet and everything.
Yeah. So. And how would you have found, obviously with the rugby training, you trained a lot and you had to, 3 sessions a day, gym, fitness, everything. But was the diet as important back then, or? I mean, obviously when you came to me, you got a diet and everything, but in terms of what they asked you, as a rugby player, did they ask you to diet hard?
At varsity level, they prescribed a lot of the rugby players diets to eat, but it wasn't necessarily all clean food. It was not as strict. You might have 4 slices of bread at breakfast and stuff like that. It was high calorie. Yeah, it was a lot of calories because they wanted the guys to bulk up a bit. They wanted them
to have enough energy.
To have enough energy because we were getting up at 4:30 or 5 every morning. We're going to do a strength training session in the gym, and then we go to class the whole day. So we're trying to eat throughout the day there, and then still go to gym. I would go to Virgin Active after class, and then from class go straight to rugby, and from gym go straight to rugby. And 3 times a week it was an hour fitness session, and then followed by another hour and a half rugby training.
Cool. So and that's tough.
It was a lot of training every single day. So it actually didn't matter how much I ate. I was getting leaner and leaner. I was actually losing weight.
So now you've obviously started this whole business online, and social media is difficult to it's difficult in a sense, but it's also easy. There's times where it's easy to make money on social media if you do it correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
So what things have you learned as yourself, just starting out now, like the do's of don'ts on how to market yourself on social media?
Honestly, it's just kind of, you got to, or the way I find it, like you kind of got to give your client base and the people you're trying to attract towards your company, like you need to give them an idea of who you actually are, you know. A lot of people on, like especially Instagram, they portray themselves one way on social media and stuff like that, but if you speak to them in person, it's like a completely different person. Like they speak different, or they act different. They don't seem like they have like the same kind of morals or anything like that. So you want your clients to know that you're actually you want to like take care of them, you want to help them and stuff like that. So if you're not doing that, I mean, you might get a lot of clients like first hand, but whether they're going to stay there, that's the problem. Because you don't want to have like a bunch, like 15 once-off clients, and then after 2 months, you know, they're all gone. Yeah. And then what? You got to find more. Yeah.
To find that balance of, you know, almost. So it's difficult as a trainer. You need to give them something and give them a lot, but don't give them everything so that they think they don't need to come back. Exactly. And that's a lot of what obviously the trainers will do at Virgin Active and everything. They will actually, but which in the negative sense, they will, you know, not actually progress their clients too much,
so that they stay with them.
And I think that's a big thing in the fitness industry, is where people actually, you know, they seem very knowledgeable and they help people, and they kind of con these people into thinking, I need to stay with this person, you know, forever, and you know, you progress very slowly. Whereas, I mean, with you, bro, we just keep progressing, which is actually ridiculous.
I mean, that's the thing. Also, like I also understand, and what a lot of people don't grasp the fact, the importance of actually having someone like a trainer or a coach. Like if I wanted to maybe prep myself or something like that, I mean, I probably could, but I still wouldn't be able to do it as well as what you prep me. Because I don't have someone, you know, the way you see yourself is not always necessarily how you're actually looking, you know. Your mind plays games on you and stuff like that. It's always hard to keep yourself, like, for instance, you prepped yourself for militia. I have no idea how you did that.
It was difficult, and I did very well, but I definitely... See, the thing is, sometimes I don't like being told what to do. I don't, unless obviously I really trust and respect the person, like with Jack. I trusted him, and he made me look amazing, but then there came a point where I was like, I want to try this on my own. I want to see if I can look better. And to be honest, obviously it's because of the longer period of time that I had with myself. I did look better than working with myself than with Jack, but obviously it's because I had longer time of training. So maybe I would have looked better with Jack again if I had done the show with him then. But that's also, I wanted to establish, you know, something that I can do with myself so that I can learn for other people. But there came a time where I was like, nah, you know what, I deserve this cheat meal, it's fine, let me have it. When if you had a coach, maybe they'd be like, actually, bro, you don't deserve it.
Exactly. Like, that's why, I mean, if I was prepping myself, you know, I'd feel like, okay, I'm feeling a bit depleted or whatever, let me have some more food today or whatever. And that can be the thing that kind of stuffs up your whole prep, because
which it did for me. I was actually too flat. I could have come in fuller because I was too hard on myself of the last 4 weeks.
You're gonna overspill or whatever the case is,
and that also could be to my detriment. And there's a lot of, I think I need to find someone who has a similar mind. Like Jack was going to prep me, but then he doesn't agree as much with fasting as what I do. So he didn't, like with you didn't fast, and I coached you the way you wanted to do it. So I wish Jack would come to me like, bro, I'll coach you in a fasting method, because he's got a lot more knowledge than me. I won't deny that. If he could coach me in a fasting way, because that's what I wanted to try, would have been cool.
But the same thing, I mean, you kind of know what works for you, enjoy the fasting and stuff like that, and it works for you, so why not? I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
No, exactly. And it was a cool experience doing it together as well. That was really nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed being able to prep. Like the fact that you were prepping from the same show. I mean, it kind of, we were like bouncing off each other at a stage. Almost like sending progress photos to each other, even though you're coaching me.
And it was nice because you would send me a photo, it would motivate me. I'd send you a photo, hopefully it motivated you.
No, I think last year's prep was definitely my favorite by far, compared to the one I did the year before that. It was definitely my best.
But I mean, the progress that you showed compared between those two shows is actually phenomenal.
That's the thing, like that's why, you know, people, like, they might say, like, you know, why don't you try, you know, how do you know that you might not do better with a different coach? And I'm like, but I don't need to because I know what you do for me works.
Yeah.
You know, it's never not worked, and I'm constantly progressing. I'm getting better. So,
but you have to try prep by yourself once.
I'll see.
It must be a prep where we both work together on it.
Maybe, okay. That might be a good idea.
Because you learn. My biggest learning curve and experience from prepping myself was it was nice to learn the body because I could see, okay, I had a cheat meal. Yeah. How do I exactly, obviously, because you're watching yourself, so you're more critical, but you're watching yourself exactly how you respond after the cheat meal, or how certain cheat meals, affect you. Because if I look at you send me a photo on a Wednesday, send me a photo on a Saturday, it's difficult, over the phone to see exactly, what the changes have been made. So I think if you had to look, that's why, so people do prefer, personal trainers in the gym because you can physically see them.
Yeah, you're with them,
Yeah, and I think now, especially, personal trainers are going to have a hard time and people are going to want to do everything online.
That's everything. I mean, everything nowadays is just becoming online.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think also a lot of the time, a lot of people, they want like a personal trainer, they want someone telling them what to do and like what to train, what to eat, because they don't have the knowledge themselves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't want someone looking over them the whole time while they're training or something.
Yeah.
So coaching online or training people online kind of, they get what they want, and they go to the gym and they can do it in their own time at their own pace, stuff like that. It's not necessarily.
If you can't go to the gym today at 2 to meet your trainer, you can go early in the morning or afternoon.
Everything's on your own. You can base it around your life. I mean, if you only end work at 7 and your personal trainer ends at 6,
exactly,
it's kind of.
And then also if you're late, then you lose the money because you paid them and it's not refundable or something like that. Yeah. So you now obviously have made the change to classic. which is awesome.
That's the plan. I'm excited. A lot of work to do though. That's actually the main reason why this whole year 2020 was I was actually thinking about it this morning. It's like kind of a blessing in disguise because
I saw the post.
Because I was going to compete June, July, and then maybe again in the pro qualifier, which was like October. So that's already competing 3 times a year in this year, and you're not necessarily going to make crazy progress throughout the year like to your physique. I mean, you're going to look good the whole year round because you're prepping and stuff like that, but you're not necessarily bettering your physique. Maybe that period between July and October, but between that 1 month period between shows, you might be able to get a little bit fuller or more conditioned, but.
So now, what has changed? Because obviously a lot of people think that bodybuilders, which is classic, can be put in the same category as bodybuilding, and men's physique would train differently. I mean, that's not true. I wouldn't say it's true.
I would never, I would never ever agree to that. If someone told me that like a men's physique athlete didn't train the same as a classic physique athlete or a bodybuilder, I'd never agree with that. I mean, I was in men's physique since 2018. I've been doing men's physique, but at the same time, I've never trained like a men's physique athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
It's either you're training for a bodybuilding contest or you're not.
You're training to make your muscles as big as possible, and that's also what people think that's what bodybuilding is. It's the same type of training over 10, 15 years. Yeah. So people think, I've had many clients, and I'm sure you say you just launched, but you're going to get the same thing where they say, I don't want to put on too much size. Don't give me a training plan that I'll get too massive on. And I'm saying, bro, if there was such a plan, everyone would be
using it. Yeah, exactly. It's not, I mean, there's a lot of guys that don't compete and that, they look, you can see they train, but, they don't compete or anything else. They're not massive or anything.
Yeah.
But they're still probably doing the exact same exercises as a professional bodybuilder.
Yeah. That's also my whole philosophy is, some people say, obviously you do need to, do periodization and do loading and, have rest
There's certain
periods.
techniques, of course.
Yes, but if you are stimulating the muscle and working crazy hard, you look at Jesse Krill. That guy could basically be a bodybuilder if he had to stop rugby and do less cardio. That guy could be a bodybuilder, and it's because he's training crazy hard and putting his muscles through those stimuluses.
And that's why he looks like he does.
Yeah.
So there's definitely no such thing as training like a men's physique athlete, or unless you don't train legs, then you're training like a men's physique athlete. But I mean, I always train legs, even though I didn't show them on stage. I always train legs.
But also training legs helps your upper body as well.
Exactly. That's it's proven. I mean, if you do your research, training legs does help. So there's really no excuse.
So obviously now all the shows are cancelled, bro, and obviously you had your sights on maybe doing a show this year, but now everything's changed. How have you, obviously I know because I coach you, but how have you, obviously because now we got to shoot in, let's say, I think it's like 6 weeks or whatever. How have you this year, since lockdown, because obviously before that you wouldn't have known, but how have you changed what you've been doing to obviously accommodate knowing that you're probably not going to compete this year?
Honestly, not much, because my mindset's the same. I'm still training every day and I'm still sticking to my diets. I'm not getting in the mindset I'm like, I'm not competing this year. What's the point of dieting?
Which a lot of people do in this industry.
That's the problem, It's like, I mean, obviously, like you said, you coach me. I'm dieting basically the whole year. Whether I'm bulking, whether I'm cutting, I'm still on a diet. So honestly, for me, not much has changed besides for the fact that I've shifted my focus onto next year. Everything I'm doing now, because you kind of got to understand that like everything that I'm doing now during this lockdown and throughout the rest of the year is going to show next year.
Yeah.
So if I decide, okay, I can chill for a bit, I don't have to train like crazy, or I can take 3 rest days a week and maybe not diet that much, that's going to show next year.
Because and I think that's also why you've constantly progressed and you constantly look better every year, is because there's never actually an off period.
No.
And it's not like you're on a bulking diet is as taxing on the mind as a cutting diet.
No, not
That's
at all.
why it's not difficult for you.
You're eating, and like, I get more cheat meals or whatever, or refeeds, whatever the case is. So I don't find it hard to stick to a diet. I've never had a problem with sticking to a diet. If I know that if this is what I've got to eat, then I don't have a problem with eating it, because I know, like, I just focus on what I'm trying to actually achieve.
But you've also, obviously, anyone who doesn't understand this needs to understand that following a diet and following strict regimen helps you in other aspects of your life.
Definitely, 100%.
And I'm sure you've experienced that, because now obviously you've just got into real estate.
Yeah.
That drive and that passion that you've had to develop through eating healthy has helped you move on to that career.
Exactly. For me, actually, not even just dieting, the whole fitness industry as a whole, like, yes, there are the negatives to it and people who do this and this, but what it teaches you is a bit like in terms of your discipline, being dedicated and stuff like that, just also like having that drive, not relying on motivation every day.
Yeah.
So that in general, and then obviously the diet. Whenever I'm dieting, always feel healthier. I know what I'm eating throughout the day. I know why, and actually feel like I'm just far more productive.
And I think the biggest thing also about eating healthy is the confidence it gives you.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that if you eat healthy and you follow a strict diet, it doesn't have to be super strict. As long as you make good improvements on what you were doing previously, you will be more confident.
Exactly.
And confidence is what drives business.
Of course.
So now, what have you done in your business? Because obviously you're trying to make it online.
Yeah.
Obviously it's nice because you've developed a following online and you developed people that relate to you. How have you targeted? Because I assume, when I was, how old are you now again?
21.
You're 21, so most of your target audience is going to be young. I know my target audience is slightly shifting. I've been watching it shift as I get older. When I started, it was probably about 14 to 20. Now I actually see on my analytics and everything, it's about 18 to 30. So it's slightly shifted. And how have you established it? Because I experienced a lot of, sorry bro, my mom or dad's not going to be able to afford that. How have you tried to, establish your market within your audience?
That's pretty much one of the first things I thought about when I was designing my websites and everything I'm going to have to offer, and obviously working out pricing for everything and stuff like that. I kind of knew that a lot of the clients that are going to sign up for me, whether they're guys or girls, are either going to be my age or younger. And majority of the people that have signed up already are 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And so basically the first thing I did was, okay, if you're a student, if I know you're a student, you're going to, your prices are going to be cheaper than a normal person.
Yeah.
And that marketing in itself usually works. telling people, if you're a student,
everyone wants to save.
Exactly, everyone wants to save. So if you're getting something at a discount, it's really you immediately giving that person more motivation to actually invest.
Yeah.
So if you're a student, always drop the price. So almost everyone who's a student or who's like 18 or younger, whatever, has a set price, which is a discount, which is usually like 30% off. Whatever, so.
And that's it was difficult for me initially because when I came into the fitness industry, I was kind of rubbing shoulders. I'll give you examples. Like I used to train often with Wesley Robertson. I used to obviously train with Jack when he was coaching me. I used to train with these older people. So it was tough for me to get these 14-year-old kids that didn't want to pay. So I tried to establish myself with an older crowd, and that kind of hindered me a little bit because I tried to get money and clients and everything from older people. And then it was a learning curve that I kind of need to realize that it's actually better you got a market, stick to that, and your market will grow.
If you've got to give someone a free program or whatever it is, or the first 2 months free or whatever, it might suck then because you're not making money for those 2 months from that person. But the long run, it's giving you more exposure because they're gonna go and they're gonna tell other people about it. They're like, oh no, you actually gave me, the first month or free or whatever the case is. And when I, tried it out and it worked, then I decided, okay, cool, I'm going to start paying for this because it's worth it.
And you obviously you studied marketing or?
So I did a BCom in business management at UJ. But I'm not even gonna lie.
Did any of that help you with your?
I hated it. I didn't enjoy the degree at all. Actually, I've actually got 1 more year left. I can go back and finish it if I wanted to, but it's just not for me.
But so studying is just, there's some studying is for people and sometimes studying isn't for people. And you're an online trainer, you go into real estate now. You don't want, and also what's nice about real estate is you kind of work for yourself.
Exactly.
Obviously you work for Remax, but you work the harder you work, the more you earn.
It's exactly, it's purely, the more input you put in, the more output you get.
Which is actually like training and dieting.
Exactly, yeah. That's actually the way I like to think of it. I mean, it's exactly the same. The more effort I make, if I get up 2 hours earlier every morning, and that's 2 hours more work that I get done in that day. So. And
there's not a lot of 21-year-olds that think like that, and it's awesome that. And you obviously also try to align yourself with people that think the same as you. And that's what you need to do in business, in life in general, is align yourself with people that have the same thought process and have the same ambition as you. Have you had to almost distance yourself from maybe your younger friends and maybe still at varsity and stuff that wanted to be less, that are less motivated and just care about going out and drinking? And
not necessarily. I mean, they have their lifestyles and I have mine. I mean, I never judge them. I mean, I'm
not saying judge them, but I'm saying like, have you had to be like, I actually came back from, an encounter with them a weekend out on a Saturday night, and I actually kind of realized like, these people aren't motivated. These people don't feel like they're going anywhere. And that's what I like to do, is enjoy my time with people that motivate me and inspire me.
No, I think it's definitely good. It's like a key aspect to actually surround yourself with people that are on the same kind of mindset. They have the same mindset as you, so they're also motivated. They also want to work. They want to put in the effort and stuff like that. So with me, like with my friends that I've had throughout school and stuff like that, I haven't really had to distance myself from them, because they're all tall and they go out and they might have drinks and stuff like that. And I know that like, for what I'm doing and for what I want to achieve, that's not the best thing to be doing, and they understand that, so it's fine. And at the same time, they're also focused on their work and what they're getting invested in. And
just because they're going out on the weekend, it doesn't mean they're not inspired.
So just because they're fun on the weekend, it doesn't mean that they're not working 10 hours a day or whatever every single day of the week up until that. So
that's also what's nice about going to school with other people in a private school. Is, I'm not saying government people aren't like this, but most government schools aren't. Obviously, the parents aren't. Obviously, some wealthy parents send their kids off to government schools, but most people that go to private schools have parents that have had to work exceptionally hard to get where they are. And I'm sure you've experienced a lot of that with your parents and, you know, with your dad's business and everything, with him doing so successfully, did you learn a lot from him growing up in terms of, you know, having ambition and drive?
Definitely. I mean, that's something that my parents always told me. They always explained to me that, you know, if you want something, you have to work for it. I mean, you know, they were never going to just give me something.
Yeah.
And I know there are parents out there that do that for their kids, where they just get everything handed to them. But my parents were kind of never really about that. I mean, at home, when you're working, you pay rent every month, whatever the case is. If you're not studying, like, you have to be working. Or even while I was studying, I was still trying to find jobs, stuff like that. Because, like, my parents would say, if you want money, you know, if you want to be successful, you want to make something, then you need to go out and do it.
Yeah, especially in South Africa.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, I think I was grade 8 or something, and I wanted a BlackBerry. And all my friends were getting Blackberries and everything. My dad's like, well, I'm not buying you a Blackberry. Go and you save up and you get it. So I remember, you know, I was saving up for 4 months.
Yeah.
And then I just bought the Blackberry. I think it was like 800 Rand back then. I just bought the Blackberry. And by that time, there was a new phone out. And everyone was getting the Sony Ericsson or something. And then there was me sitting with the Blackberry. So that's also what has helped both of us in life, is having driven parents and parents that haven't just, you know, handed things out to you.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that my parents haven't given me anything.
Of course.
I mean,
you went to private schools.
Exactly. They've done tons for me. They paid for me to study. They paid for me to go to school. That, you know, they bought me my first car, whatever the case is.
But it's not like they went and bought you a 500,000 Rand car because they can afford it. They could afford a 500,000 car, but they bought you a cheaper car to teach you values and life lessons.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's obviously something you would do with your kids, and
yes.
That's also what you would, the mindset that you would have in business is, if I want to work hard, I have to achieve, and that's what's helping you in business, and it's going to help you in fitness as well.
Exactly. For me, it's like, I try not to lean towards the whole what if kind of thing. It's more of a case of, I will be, or I will do this, or, you know, I want to do that, but so I will do it.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily going to happen now or in a few months, but it can happen in the next 3 years or 5 years, stuff like that. But the point is that everything you're doing now builds up to that.
Yeah. And I think that's also something that bodybuilding has helped us both with, is you can't get instant gratification.
No.
In business as well, but in bodybuilding, like those massive bodybuilders, Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, all those oaks, they had been training for or maybe not Ronnie Coleman, that guy was crazy. But if you look at like the Blade, that guy, he's like 50 now. What is he?
Yeah, I think he's 50.
Yeah, 50. To be 50, to look like that, he obviously has been looking like that since he's been pro, but it's constant effort and it's daily grind.
He's been doing it since he was 19, 18 years old.
So you've been doing that since you're 19. To look like them, you're going to have to be doing it till you're 40 as well.
Exactly. But that's, you know, it's the way it is. You know, it's not going to happen instantly.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, that's stuff that can never be just given to you or handed to you. That's stuff that you have to work for it every single day.
Yeah.
It's a job in its own. It's a 24/7 job, and okay, not job because it makes it sound bad, but it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. You know, when you get up, you're going to eat this, and you're going to train at this time, and you're going to do this, and so
it's cool. And also I did it as well when I was young, but that you are so young and that you're so driven in competing. Is there anyone that you first started out overseas that really inspired you and really motivated you?
Overseas. So for the men's, so when I started out, I was obviously still in men's physique. I was the last year. Even beginning of this year, I was still focused on men's physique. Yeah. And
you're still on men's physique until you actually do the show.
Well,
until you actually do
until
classic.
I've stood on stage in a pair of like a little speedo,
tighty whities.
I'm still men's physique. So, but in terms of men's physique, it's definitely Andre Ferguson's always someone that I looked at.
Amazing.
Not even just his physique, but the way he trains and just how honest and stuff he is. I always liked that. So I've always followed him on all his posts, all his YouTube videos and stuff like that. I'm always watching them, and that kind of has always motivated me, especially from the start really. Also guys like Chris Bumstead, Regan Grimes, always watching their YouTube videos and stuff like that. So
for me it was Rich Piana.
Yeah.
When I was, because obviously I watched YouTube videos, but in first year mainly I started watching YouTube videos. That was 2015. Watching Rich Piana's videos, watching Greg Plitt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched Greg Plitt's videos.
Yeah, I have.
And those are